And we are back. Or are we back? Because that was League One Barnsley, but a 7-0 victory. Erik ten Hag's biggest win as Manchester United manager. His previous best was 4-1 against Chelsea. So really, really good to see a result that big for Manchester United, especially given the amount of scrutiny that have been lobbied at us over the last few months and years. So I'm really, really happy with that. And I'm also really happy with the style of play, the goals we've scored, the chances we created that we didn't score, even how we defended in the midfield and at the back. It was fantastic. But like I say, you've got to take it with a pinch of salt that it was League One Barnsley, and we have to back it up against Crystal Palace at the weekend. But the way I'm looking at it right now, that is 10 goals, 2-0 in our last two matches, going in to the game with Crystal Palace at the weekend and then going in to our first Europa League game next week as well. So I'm very, very happy about that. And I know the majority of you are going to want to hear me talk about Rashford and Garnacho, but there is only one place to start tonight, and that is Christian Eriksen, because I spoke about Christian Eriksen in my video after the Southampton game about how I didn't like that he was still playing in sort of like the number 8 position, shall we say, the 6.5 position, as it were, the left CDM position, and that we just play much better with Christian Eriksen in the side when he plays in that number 10 position instead of Bruno Fernandes. And for me, Christian Eriksen was player of the match today because of all the work he did in that number 10 position. All of the plaudits that are going Garnacho's way and Rashford's way tonight are not possible without the efforts of Christian Eriksen in that number 10 position tonight. He was absolutely immense, and that is the Christian Eriksen that we signed, because that is what Christian Eriksen has been in his entire career. He is not someone who gets the ball off the back four and then tries to play passes out to the wide areas. He is not someone who is supposed to win the ball back and then play passes. He is someone that receives the ball in the middle of the pitch and then starts creating chances. And that is exactly what he did from start to finish. And I'll say it right here, right now. We got worse after Bruno Fernandes came on. And yes, Bruno does end up getting the 2 assists for both of Eriksen's goals. But we did have a slight drop-off after Bruno Fernandes came on. And I think there is a secondary reason to that as well. It's not just because it was suddenly Bruno in number 10 instead of Christian Eriksen. But I did notice a slight drop-off in that creativity area once Bruno came on. But Eriksen then pushed up even further towards those last 10 minutes. And that's how he ended up getting his 2 goals. He was the one making the runs from midfield, and it was Bruno that then created the 2 chances for him. So for me, Christian Eriksen, absolute man of the match performance from him. 10 out of 10 from him. And hopefully that can continue. And this is what I'm saying about how we should be using Christian Eriksen. If he starts at the weekend against Crystal Palace, it has to be in the number 10 position. It can't be in the deep lying position. For me, if you're going to play him there, he is wasted, and if anything, it ended up being a detriment to the team in that position, although albeit tonight he did score his 2 goals technically from that position in those last 10 minutes. But absolutely incredible performance from Christian Eriksen. Now we'll go on to the 2 players that I'm sure you want to talk about, which is Rashford and Garnacho. And to be honest, what a performance it was from both of them. Rashford walks away with 2 goals and an assist. Garnacho walks away with 2 goals and 2 assists. Incredible, incredible from the pair of them. Garnacho obviously has to play on the left-hand side of the pitch. It is his best position. And it's the best I've seen Rashford play up front in a long, long while. But the reason why it works so well is because he was allowed to drift around. He wasn't just standing up front, not doing anything, like we've complained about Rashford when he's played up front in the past. He was allowed to drift out left and allow Garnacho inside. He was allowed to drift out right and allow Antony inside. On his goal, it's Rashford on the right, Garnacho on the left, and Eriksen that is in the middle. So that's what it's about. It's about being fluid. And I'm looking at the game against Crystal Palace at the weekend now, and I'm going, Garnacho's got to start, Rashford's got to start, and Ahmad's got to start. Well, that's fine. You just play all 3 up front. You play Ahmad on the right instead of Antony, and that's your front 3 against Crystal Palace, and you play Bruno or you play Eriksen at number 10, and I tell you, we look a much, much better team. And that is not me having a dig at Joshua Zirkzee either, because I think he looked dangerous when he came on as well, and he was unlucky not to get his goal. But the way that the 2 of them linked up from the striker left wing position, it was something we've not seen since it was Rashford up front and Martial on the left, or vice versa. That sort of link-up play we've not seen for years between a striker and a left winger at Manchester United, which is really, really positive. So I'm really hoping this is something that can continue. And carrying on the theme of talking about the likes of Eriksen and Garnacho and Ahmad and selection headaches, for the first time in a few years, I think we've got selection headaches because Rasmus is back soon as well. But that is what a squad needs. It needs competition for places. And now we've got a situation where you've got Højlund, Rashford and Xerxes who can play up front. You've got Garnacho and Rashford who can play on the left. You've got Ahmad and Garnacho and Rashford and Anthony that can play on the right. You've got Bruno and Eriksen and Mount that can play in at number 10. You've got Casemiro, Ugarte, Collier, arguably Eriksen as well, to play in the midfield position. You've got Mazraoui and Dalot to play at right back. You've got De Ligt, Martinez, Maguire, Evans and Lindelof to play at centre-back. And once they get fit, you've got Shaw, Malacia and Dalot and Amas, and arguably even Collier after tonight's performance, and Mazraoui that can all play left-back as well. And Bayande looked absolutely solid and good on the ball in net to challenge Onana as well. And all of a sudden, you're looking at a squad now and you're going, maybe there isn't dead weight anymore. Maybe it was good that we offloaded the likes of McTominay, the likes of Varane, the likes of Martial, and we're starting to embed these youngsters and these talented players into the side more and more, and competition for places is starting to breed. But, like I said, it all depends on how we play against Crystal Palace. Because I can say all of this off the back of beating the worst team in the league in Southampton, and I can say all of this off the back of beating League One Barnsley 7-0, but it's got to be backed up when it matters. Let's not forget, less than 3 weeks ago, we got utterly outclassed by Liverpool. So we can't just jump on this bandwagon of, oh my word, everyone's back, we're flying, Rashford's looking back to his best, Garnacho's going to be amazing, Ahmad's going to be amazing, Eriksen's back to his best, Bruno's had a good start to the season. Ugarte's come in and is a revelation. De Ligt comes in, he's a revelation. Mazraoui comes in, he's a revelation. Mazraoui is a revelation, by the way. He's class. And etc. We can't get carried away yet because it could all fall apart against Crystal Palace on Saturday because they are a better team than Southampton and they are a better team than League One Barnsley. So we will see. And that then brings me on to the final player that I want to talk about, which is Ugarte, who I think had an okay debut. I'm not going to sit here and say he was brilliant because he committed 6 fouls. And I know that because I sat around and I counted them going, how has he not been booked yet? It's a little bit of a concern because the referees of the Premier League and other Premier League clubs are going to be seeing that performance and going, we can get him booked pretty easily because he racks up a lot of fouls and he's giving away fouls against League One Barnsley. He's going to be arguably giving away more fouls when he's got the likes of Eza, Kamada, Nketiah, etc., whoever's going to be in those little pockets for Crystal Palace at the weekend. He's going to give away fouls. He's going to get yellow cards. But what he did do, as well as concede 6 fouls, is won the ball back a hell of a lot more than any other Manchester United player has in the last few months. And when he got the ball, he used it well as well. And that is what's important. That's what we need in that midfield. And when I mentioned earlier about the drop-off we had when Eriksen came out of the number 10 position and Bruno went in there, and I said that it wasn't just because Bruno was now the number 10 instead of Eriksen. It was more that Eriksen was now the number 8 instead of Ugarte. And that was the issue. Eriksen, as we've already spoken about, can't get around the pitch and make tackles like Ugarte can. And that is the issue. If we start against Crystal Palace without Ugarte in that midfield, we're seriously going to struggle. And how we then manage that, whether or not it's Ugarte and Casemiro, Ugarte and Mainu, whatever they might decide to do about it, he needs to be careful about how he approaches the game because he looks good. He looks talented. He looks like a ball winner. But he reminded me of someone that used to drive me mad when he played for Liverpool. He reminded me of a Lucas Leiva who, again, would go around and make foul after foul after foul after foul after foul and would somehow never get booked for it. So as long as that continues, fantastic. But the way social media is, the way these players get their reputations up fast nowadays, I can see Ugarte picking up a lot of yellow cards, which is going to be a little bit of a concern. But overall, impressed with his performance as well. Hopefully, he can produce another good performance against Crystal Palace at the weekend. And like I said, it breeds competition for places. which encourages the players to play better. We're playing better game in, game out over the last couple of weeks. Let's see what we do against Crystal Palace at the weekend. Hopefully, it's going to be a good result. Hopefully, we got ourselves a nice, lovely draw in the next round of the Cup as well, and that comes around next week. But we all have to see. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Who was your player of the match? Would you have given it to Christian Eriksen like I would? Or would you have given it to a Garnacho or a Rashford? Let me know down in the comment section below. Thank you very much for watching as always. I'll see you in the next one.